Is Allison coming?
No, she's not going to be here. She's got a sick kid.
Oh.
Okay.
Let me let Dave go first.
Well, okay. So since we don't have Allison, David, would you like to give us an update on what's going on with the Public Works Department? Anything we need to ruminate on?
Well, everybody remember the late beech tree that fell down, the big tree?
Do we remember?
Oh, yeah.
I'm just, maybe some. So anyway, we cut it down and I saved some pieces of it, and I had them cut, the tree length, I made a big disc of the tree, just cut a big disc of it. And I've had it in the shop drying, and I had some not free time, but I had some time we haven't had snow plowing going on. We can't do any earthwork. So I've had them sanding it down, and they've epoxy coated it and varnished it and epoxy coated it. And it's pretty much done now. Well, not quite done. And then I had them build an easel. So it's basically be able to display it like this, and then maybe have a little sign that talks about the tree. And what I was thinking about is having the kids maybe bring it. I'm going to talk to Elfie Owen about bringing it to the school and maybe have them count the rings on the tree. And then I was going to put like some little flags in the tree, like the year it died, and like the year it was started, like the center, so many, and then maybe put some milestones in there with like little flags and stuff. And then maybe I don't know. I was going to bring it up. I wanted to bring it here today, but it was still a little tacky. So if you guys can think of something, I'd like it to be something the Conservation Commission gives or does or recommends. It's a good thing for you guys, I think, to do.
Sure.
So think about what you might want to do with that and where you could put it. Any ideas you have? My idea about the school, I had that. I don't want to give it to them, but I want them maybe to kind of, yeah.
Do you have any idea about when it was?
Yeah, that's what
It's like 130. It's like 130. I'll tell you, looking at that thing, even after it's all sand and everything, there's a lot of counting, man. I haven't had time to sit there and count.
Right. But I mean, so that we can just reflect about like what happened,
Yeah.
When Camden.
Yeah, maybe you can, and I think if we made some nice little pins, with a little flag on it that said the year Brian Lightbody was born, and all these real important milestones of life.
David, did you say you've already spoken with Elfie Owens about it?
I haven't talked with Elfie, but I was just, these are the craziness. This is the craziness of my mind. These things bounce around.
I think it's a great idea.
Well, I love the idea. I mean, I have kids at the middle school, so I'd be happy to reach out to their science teachers and Elfie to see if there's a fit there.
Yeah, if you
want. Because I know
to.
some of the classes do earth science. That one of the years is earth science.
That's kind of what I was thinking. If you want to do that, Sam, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
And I, like I said, it's got a really nice big easel, a 3-legged easel, and there's a part of the easel on the top that's free. So I was thinking we could make a sign and write, this is an oak tree and an oak, Acer rubrum and blah, 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 and, whatever else you want to say. But it's kind of a nice thing to kind of maybe, have around, right?
Wait, it's an oak tree?
It was an oak tree.
Oh, I thought you said a beech. Where was it?
Acer rubrum is a scientific.
Yeah. But where was it?
On Lake. Oh, you didn't hear about this?
No.
Oh my.
Oh, the poison tree?
Well, it was in it was on that lot.
The big tree on the knoll there.
It was the big tree on the knoll that had been there for 100 something years, and everybody liked the tree, and it was kind of like.
But is that the one that got poisoned?
Well, they don't think it got poisoned.
This is the one that was.
One that fell over during the big storm.
Yeah, because it's different from
So
poisoning.
did the roots
Oh, okay.
get pulled out? Because I go down and look at it and say, how the heck is that staying up there?
Well,
Yeah,
everybody has memories of this tree, I think, is what.
it was kind of in the way. It was like, right?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
How large is the disc?
Like about this big around. It's kind of like ovalish. It's not completely round. And I've got two other discs that I haven't refinished, and I have some boards, and I have some thicker boards. And I was gonna was gonna do some different things. I don't know if we could do, again, I'm just brainstorming here, but I thought maybe, I wanted to take the boards and rip out some frame size pieces and then have a picture of the tree. Maybe we could auction them off and do, I don't know, something, think about what you could do with this stuff.
Yeah. Benches out of big chunks like that.
Yeah.
I was wondering about the hat tree program at the high school. I wonder if they could utilize it.
I don't want to just, I talked with that guy, the new guy. He came over, he wanted some bench material that you're talking about. And I showed him those bigger, thicker pieces I had about incorporating those into the bench, but the smaller.
Well, I just meant not your big bench, but for something.
Yeah, well, we talked about, I showed him the wood. So I did talk with him and show him that, but I'm a little hesitant to just give it to somebody that, I want to know that they're going to be
I agree.
doing something with it. I mean,
Something that would be worthy of the tree.
exactly. I don't want this is to be a mistake, like somebody learning how to do woodworking on this. Yeah.
Yeah, preserve it in some way.
Yeah, so those are I was thinking of maybe making some cribbage boards with the other chunk, and then you could give those as a gift to somebody for their years of service or for the community or something. Maybe an award for somebody who's done some outstanding environmental thing in the town, or it just, these are kind of like some ideas of things that you could do with it. And it would give, yeah, but it would give it'd give us an opportunity to maybe be recognized and get out there in the community and be a little bit more visual. Camden Conservation Commission is giving, Samantha Mortlock a cribbage board made from the late beech tree for her stormwater pond, or whatever, something of that nature.
Late beech tree,
That's what it is. It was the late beech oak tree.
late oak.
The
tree.
late tree, is that what you're saying? Yeah.
But anyway,
But
Those-
how much wood is there?
so I've got three other discs the same size as this one, and the problem with them is they're split in the middle, so they're kind of broke. So those would be ones I was thinking you could make kind of cribbage boards or something out of, or we can put them together and staple the back, and then do what we did with the one we didn't have to staple them; it was still together, but we kind of secured it in the back so it doesn't break anymore. They're not really furniture grade pieces of wood.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
Is there lumber?
I've got like 4 boards and I've got 4 planks, and they're not very long. Those, from here to the end of the table. Some thicker ones like this, about that wide. I have 4 of those, and I have 4 boards that are thinner.
So what happened to the rest of the tree?
That's all. I had to have a person mill that out of the tree.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's what he gave me.
How heavy are the other discs?
They're about 100 between 100 and 120 pounds each.
I was thinking they could still be used in schools for counting, but
We could give one to the school too, but they're not going to do anything with that. It's going to be okay for one time, and then, yeah.
I was gonna say, they do a local history section at the elementary school, or I don't know how long it goes for, but
Mhm.
I don't know if it's worth it. But I bet they'd be impressed.
Middle school or high school would be probably more.
Yeah, and then there's also what's the historic place over here, the Conway House.
Sunway House, yeah.
We could put it over there too,
Or
maybe.
even Mary Spring.
That'd be
Oh, Mary's.
They might,
Yeah.
That might be a nice,
Yeah.
nice place to put a chunk.
Anyways.
They've got a little natural history
something for
museum.
you guys to kick around. I made
Right.
one, and we've got 2 or 3 others, and I've got some boards and pieces and some
So you
ideas.
could, you're the custodian, you got
Yeah.
the stuff.
Yep.
And the next step with the big chunk is to see if we can get the kids at school to do some ring counting and,
Ring counting, and then maybe once we have an agreed upon age, because we can then maybe put some flags in it and milestones.
the
and
kids
then-
could do that,
and
right?
then- Well,
Where they can make a little project out of it or something.
yeah, and I think that's something we would want to put those in, and yeah, and then decide where you want to display it.
Although that would be really cool for them as a learning experience to
well, that's
say,
what I was thinking of the
this
other
was-
discs.
This was when electricity came to.
Well, I can give them another one to do that with,
Yeah, they could.
not the finished one, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kind of do their own thing with another one.
yeah,
I mean, it
true.
could be used for a history class too.
I mean, I could just sand another one down and oil it and then just give it to them that way, you know, and they could,
Be creative themselves.
yeah. Yep, Yep.
Okay, so Samantha is gonna take care of contacting Elfie or Holly at the school, right, Samantha?
Who's Holly?
What's that? She's the I thought you might know her. She's a science teacher. I know her. Really.
Oh, Hallie is what my
Hallie,
daughter
yeah.
called her Hallie. That's my daughter's science teacher. Yes, I'll reach out to both of them.
All right.
and then maybe one of the other things that I have that's kind of interesting is we just got the bids back for the installation of the Rawson Avenue footbridge. And we're getting ready to award that. So there's two components to the bridge. Everybody know what I'm talking about? So,
Yep.
So there's the removal stage of the bridge, which is going to be occurring probably starting next week. Might be kicked back because of the storm, but it's supposed to be starting next week. So they're removing the old bridge and the center pier, and they're replacing it with basically they're going to rip-wrap the edges and stabilize everything. And then that's the first part of the project that MDOT is doing because it is an MDOT bridge. The second part is as part of a local administered project, we're installing a footbridge. So we're doing that part of it. And we just got our bids back. So that's getting ready to be awarded and installed. But I guess the environmental component of it is the removal has to be done at this time of year because there's two endangered bat species. I don't know if anybody knows about
Oh,
this.
yeah, I know about those.
Well, there's the long-eared bat, but there's this new one called the tricolored bat.
And they live under bridges and stuff, right?
Right. Well, the tricolored bat, though, is a new one, and they didn't know it was in this area, but it actually roosts and lives in the cracks of the Mount Batty or the mountain face. So they can only remove this bridge during a certain time of the year because they don't want to disturb or harm the bats. So that was kind of a cool thing to learn about. And then,
There was a bridge in Rockland. They had a similar situation. I read. That's why I knew about it.
so you have between, I think it's October 15th to April 15th to do any work in these areas where the bats can roost or can, be present without
That's when you
disturbing
can
it.
do it? or-
You only can do the work during that time frame. Yeah.
Where are they now?
Well, I don't know where the long-eared bats, they nest in like under trees and branches and stuff like that. So if we cut any trees down, we have to bring the MDOT biologist and they got to look and make sure there's no roosting long-eared bats. The tricolored bats, interestingly, don't roost together. They kind of can be anywhere. They can be on a pile of leaves. They can be, just about, in any place. So they're a little harder to kind of figure out where they're at. But there's
Not under bridges anyway.
apparently they're not under the bridge right now at this time of year.
Well, they might not, at least not maybe making nests and babies.
Right. And so, and then one of the other components that's going on with that bridge project is that in order to remove that center pier, they've got to put in cofferdams with sandbags to kind of keep the water moving through the area they're working in. And once they have those cofferdams built, they're going to have to go in and electrofish the fish that are in the cofferdam and remove them and then move them upstream. So that'll be a kind of an interesting thing too. So if you want to see how they electrofish, I used to do it when I worked at Fish and Wildlife for a little while. You basically have a battery backpack and you have a grounding. It's like just a cord. You throw it in the water and you have a handle with a hoop at the end of it. And it's connected to the battery and you put it in the water and you basically electrocute the fish in the area.
Stun the fish.
It stuns them and they kind of flutter and then you scoop them up and then they usually will, if you're going to weigh and measure them, they usually give them an anesthetizing compound that kind of makes them a little bit more relaxed. But then what they'll do is they'll scoop them up, put them in a bucket or in a tub, and then they'll move them upstream out of the cofferdam area. So-
There's a school teacher who walks his kids down to the bridge on the other side of the park regularly in the spring and maybe other times a year. He's a biology or science teacher. And I'm just thinking, I don't know, maybe it'd be too ferocious for them to come watch, but.
It's not really that traumatic of
they
a
could-
thing to
they
watch.
could Probably bring a class, walking
Yeah,
to where to your bridge.
right. So there's that going on. Then we're doing another project on Molyneux Road. And we're installing a new sewer line that goes from the Mountainside Trailer Park.
Yep.
And
So that truck's gonna stop driving by my house
yeah, you're gonna miss it, aren't you?
like 16 times a day.
How far down Mullen Road is it gonna go?
So it's gonna go to Riverside Drive. So the way it works is what they'll do is we're gonna put a pump station at the park. We're gonna we think they're gonna directional, it's up to the contractor, but they'll directional bore under 52, which is like a big drill, and they'll drill under it so they don't have to excavate Route 52. And then they're gonna put in a forced main, which is basically a pressurized system that pumps the wastewater from the park up to the top of the hill where the start road is. And then at the top of the start road, it'll turn into a gravity system and it'll go down to Riverside Drive, and where we'll tie in the Riverside Drive. So then it'll go into,
Riverside.
it's on the left-hand side heading up Molyneux Road.
Mountain.
And then, and
You're
basically
coming from the
50, if you're going down 52,
It's on the left.
it's on the left-hand side after the start road.
Okay.
So it'll go to Riverside Drive, and then what happens is it goes down, it's already, the line is already on Riverside Drive. What it does is it goes down Riverside Drive and crosses under the river and then goes to the pump station on Washington Street. So that'll complete the loop, and that'll provide wastewater for all of those. But the interesting thing is there's an environmental review, again, kind of like this river thing, and they've identified the bats again, but also the monarch butterflies, which I didn't realize is an issue, and another endangered species in the area. So those are,
So the new sewer thing that's coming from the housing place there.
yeah,
It's going only to Riverside Drive. It's not going further down Mullen.
not at this time. So, but what it does is it will allow people that live between Riverside Drive and 52 to tie into it if they want. So, but if you're on the downhill side between Start Road and Washington Street, it'll be you'd have to put in a little mini pressurized system to kind of pump it to the line, because that's a pressurized line, because it has to go uphill. And then if you live on the other side of the Start Road where it goes over the knoll, you'd be able to tie into it with gravity. So that'd be how that, but that's a big deal having that line on
Yeah,
that road.
imagine.
It's a start.
Yeah,
Yep. When are they doing that, David?
that should happen in the starting probably spring, summer.
Yeah.
And it should be completed by the end of this season. So by wintertime, the park should have, well, they should be able to not have the truck hauling all their wastewater. Yeah, I mean, literally, this guy hauls 2 and 3 loads a day sometimes
Oh, yeah.
in a truck. That's how they get all their wastewater from the park to the treatment plant. They get a
He
truck
goes
it.
by my house like once every 2 hours. Seriously, I know him. I wave at him all the time.
When it
He's like
rains.
my friend, right?
When it rains, yeah, because it's got a crack in the tank, I
Take it to
guess.
The plant, they don't take it down on Mount Batty Street. I've used to see trucks dumping in I think it's Mount Batty Street.
They're not supposed to be dumping over there, but no, they take it to we have a pipe on the outside of the treatment plant, and they tie into that, and they get billed for it.
The thing is, the bats made me wonder about osprey. I know that they have a nest on top of the smokestack, but I've noticed at the end of Eaton Avenue, that pier that got blown out, the last granite pier out, looks like it's got an osprey nest on it.
Oh,
Not going to keep them from rebuilding it.
that's out of my zone.
'Cause I don't think it's legal to move an osprey nest.
Probably not.
I think, I wanted to say the stairs that Crew did on the end of marina.
Oh, yeah, we did that.
Amazing.
Yeah, we did. We rebuilt. Yeah, you think it came out nice?
Fantastic.
Yeah, we did that ourselves.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, I saw that. It was nice.
Nick did that job, and I thought it came out pretty good. I think it looks better than it did, maybe.
Where?
And the marina, right?
Marine.
Check it out.
Just go straight down there, you park your car, a couple of spots to park your car, there's
Oh.
kayak racks there.
It was gone. It was wiped out. We still got
We're
some.
supposed to go look at that.
Hmm?
We were supposed to go look at that.
Yeah,
They did it.
I mean, we kind of gave it a little bit of a curve now. It's kind of neat how it goes down. Yeah.
And you had mentioned the end of Sherman Point Road, and I walked over there.
Oh, then you went to the end?
Yeah, and there isn't much land there, but do you have some sort of plan for doing a similar thing? And is the pin out on the ledge?
You'll have to
way
talk
out
with
there?
Allison about that one. So she's got grander visions of how to reclaim all that area. I just wanted to kind of get us to the water, but she kind of wants to
Well,
kind
it
of,
wouldn't take much. I would
Start with
volunteer
Yeah.
to clean up that
I was thinking
wood
like,
that's on the beach.
you know, at Lake Beach, how they made the gang thing to go down to the water and the bottom is on like skids so it can move. So you anchor it at the top and then you just get to the bottom with some shoes on it and it would lay on there and then it could move a little bit depending on the tide. But then you could always get down there. But that's kind of
Looking
a,
out there, there's some ledge that sticks out.
Yeah, big
quite a
hunk of
ways, there's
ledge.
a pin on it. Is that for the
well,
public right away?
I don't know all the details. It's pretty complicated how they kind of lost some of that public access, but apparently we have more rights to that than we're being used or, you know, apparently.
I don't know if there's any parking there.
Well, they don't want you to think there is. That's what the issue is. And I think that's a bigger issue. That's above my pay grade.
Look around at the pins for the corners and stuff. It looks like it's 20, 25 feet wide straight and there's nothing else.
Like I said, Allison knows way more about it than I do. I don't understand kind of all of the whole thing, but apparently at one point in time, you were always able, you probably remember this, right? You were probably always able to kind of walk down there and use that property,
They already didn't want you to,
but you could. And now new people bought it. They've made it look like you can't do that anymore. It's kind of boils
It's
down
kind
to,
of fake though. I mean,
it is. Yeah.
it's a matter of asserting the town's rights.
Right. And I think that's what Allison's plan is. Right. And
But it shouldn't depend on fences. It should just be access. And the parking, can't you park on the road?
well, they make it look like you can't. That's all part of it. And so you drive to the end, you're like, all right, where do I park? You got to
One
park.
car could park there, but if
One
someone
car.
came behind you, you're
But the
Line.
reality is, I mean, I think we've had more real estate there than it looks like. That's something you should bring up with maybe at the next meeting when Allison's here and come up with a plan of how to kind of maybe.
there's iron pins, there's granite markers, there's
I think so.
Says, I need a,
Does it say Opera House?
says enter the security, no, it says code,
I
COHS.
It would be nice if people knew the story of how
thought there was some public,
it
but I
got
think
stolen
don't know
out
for
from
a
underneath
fact.
the town
Right,
originally. too,
right.
because Then, like you had the right.
All right, so anything else?
I have one thing I was gonna say since the budget thing's coming up.
Yeah,
This is kind of old, but remember when we were talking about the signs for the watershed?
Yep.
It was actually in the minutes, but at one point Allison showed us a picture that just said McGonagall River. And it was a guy he was.
yeah, it was over here on the bridge.
He was watering
Right.
the bond boxes and behind him the sign said McGonagall River. We said, well, why don't we just do that instead? And we agreed to do that. And.
We just never ordered that sign.
But I was thinking, could it go in next year's budget?
I mean, I don't need to
two
put-
and a half.
I don't need to put that in the budget. I have a sign budget to put that in.
I mean,
Yeah.
you don't, I would think it would be like 6, 2 in the harbor, 2 over by the east and west end, was maybe construction and.
Yeah, that would be an easy thing to do. Yep. I don't think I even need to budget that. That's a small number. Yep. The other ones are more expensive because there was a lot of them.
Yeah.
The big signs.
Camden Opera House.
Oh, thanks. I
It's open.
just did it with my phone.
I think with other
Didn't come-
things that we had going on. Well, this is actually something. So I was at the store and I ran into Hammond. Is it Hammond Buck?
Yeah.
And who owns Plants Unlimited? And he's like, hey, he goes, I saw the article in the newspaper about the trees. So Everybody liked it. Everybody thought it was a great picture. Everybody thought the article was really good. And then he followed up with, are you going to order some trees? Because last year I didn't put an order in with them. I kind of bought them from the other place because I could buy them as I go. And he said, well, I'll work something out with you. And I said, well, I got to talk with the Conservation Commission about what kind of trees we want to grow next year. So,
Native trees.
yeah, so,
Climate adapted.
right. So maybe this is something you guys can think about
Well-
and put together a wish list of trees, maybe, and we'll maybe put an inventory together of what we want him to have. And that way we can work off of that. Or maybe,
If we have the old lists, but also.
I think you wanna-
Rebecca says she wants to
Yeah,
work on trees.
that's what I was going to bring up.
okay,
I think Rebecca identified that as one of her project goals.
work on trees.
Well, the street tree program
Uh-huh.
kind of helped head that up. And she'd be a great candidate, I think, to identify which trees, and of course you could work with us, but
I was gonna say, yeah, you probably want to have a little bit of input from other
Yep.
people too, I would imagine,
We
but
also have existing lists from 2 years ago that we.
I have the list you guys gave me. I just thought maybe you might want to diversify your list a little bit more so you don't have all the same trees. That is my thoughts on that, but, cause a good forest isn't a monoculture. It's a whole bunch of different trees, right?
Yep. And then there's trees like oak trees that harbor lots of caterpillars and species that are good for birds. And I mean,
So would this group want to promote native trees?
We basically, we're looking at trees that are climate adaptive. So a lot of times those are native trees, but sometimes some native trees are struggling because we're being warmer and wetter, being warmer and wetter. So we look at which ones that have been studied to be
Right.
like what can last moving forward in the direction.
Resilient
our
trees.
Climate is going.
And which ones that are not facing impending pests like
Yeah, some
the
of
beach.
like the beach trees are probably going to win.
emerald ash borer, woolly, Hemlock, woolly adelgid, blah, blah,
We
blah.
don't want to add young trees to that situation and have them be.
I have a concern about the increase of cables further and further down the poles, which has happened on Washington Street, and maybe Mountain. And I wonder, are there limits? Because every time they put another bank of cables, there's less room on that side of the road for trees.
Is there any, do they have any mandates about that, or is it just?
It's a right of way.
Like how far would they right away?
And they come down to the ground.
Well,
Cables.
I think there's a height limit on them, but I don't know what that is.
And the
There
town
also,
is-
by my house,
Yeah.
there's new poles with most of the wires on them, but then the old poles are left there with 1 or 2 wires on them.
And that is one of life's greatest mysteries.
So,
Yeah.
well, we got more because of all of this,
It's a big problem and I've been fighting it for a long time and even where I was at before. And what it is, at the top, you've got the power, CMP, and then you have consolidated, and then you have, Lincoln.
fiber networks.
You got all the different companies that have utilities on those wires. And what happens is they supposedly have this system where when they transfer the wire, CMP goes first, and then they're supposed to put it in the system, and it notifies the next person down, and they're supposed to move it over, but none of the other stuff happens. So what ends up happening is you get the new pole with CMP's electrical on it, and the old pole with the other utilities on it. And because they under budget trying to do all this, the work that they need to do, and there's less profit probably in what they do now, they just don't do the work.
Can we make a town policy that kind of requires like?
We already have that, but this isn't a problem unique to us. It's everywhere.
At least we can push we only have control of what we.
You can just see it happening.
You know what it takes? It takes somebody calling up each one of those people that are on that pole left over continuously until they do it. and it doesn't always get done.
Didn't we just pass a zoning ordinance regarding health posts? Was that basically just for new ones going up, like they can't be?
Right. Well, that was,
Anything with the old ones that are there?
I mean, what,
They're getting laden down, and of course, one broke, and it wasn't just because it was hit by a car. It was just ready, right in front of my house.
well,
It was not in good shape, and there's one down on the corner, just up here, that doesn't look very good to me.
I mean, you look at, yeah, exactly, one curve, kind of bending into the road, yeah. But I've pointed that out to them. I'll tell you, the utilities are really tough to deal with, and they're not very responsive. And, you know, unless you have a friend or somebody that you know at the utility that works at that utility, it's almost impossible. I mean, I got to be careful what favors I call in because
We could organize a little bit of call-in, though. I mean, this,
yeah, I mean, that is not a bad strategy. So like I could give you a list of all of the people on like a certain area, we could say, and you could like take turns calling these people up from different places. And if they hear this from multiple people, it might have a bigger impact than just one person calling. So that's one strategy. But you got to pick a location. So my location I'm working on is Park Street. Park Street has poles, like you said, a new pole and then an old pole. And the old pole's in the middle of the sidewalk and you can't get through anymore. You know what I mean? So we want to rebuild the sidewalk. We want that old pole out of there. But this is not an easy, Audra and I have been fighting this problem for probably 10 years. We haven't been very successful. We tried even actually placing legislation in to do all this and they lobbied against it and prevented us from doing it. So it just takes continuous hounding to get them to move all this stuff over. So I know it's not a very good answer, but that's the reality of the whole thing.
I've been wondering.
All right, we gotta keep moving.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, or
You can get us a
fortunately.
list of the people who are probably remaining on the old poles. Maybe we can start.
I can give you a list of those people.
I have a question for Samantha. Samantha, what lock?
She
There?
might have taken a break.
You want to mute?
She might be changing your daughter.
Hi, sorry, I'm on mute and I'm driving, so it's hard to get to the
Well, okay.
app. But I'm here now. What's up?
You're in the car. Do you want to
Yes.
cover stuff that's relevant to you first so you can peel off, or do you want to stay for the whole meeting? What's best
I
for
mean,
you?
I'd love to cover what's most relevant to me, and then I'll stay in the meeting just so
Okay.
I know what's going on, but it'll be easier than trying to make sure
Yeah,
I'm ready the second that I need to talk. Yeah,
That's what I kind of thought.
thank you.
No, you're welcome. So it seems like the two things that would be relevant to you is, one of them is the letter for the MRCAC, right?
Correct, yes.
That's like huge. And that was at the end of the agenda to discuss and approve forwarding it to the select board. And
Right.
Since you played such a key role in that, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
It's excellent, in my opinion anyway, but I'm not a legal
you.
person. Why don't we discuss that with the objective of voting on sending that to the select board and potentially having, we've all had opportunity to give you our inputs, right? So it should be.
Exactly.
Should be pretty straightforward discussion, right? So.
Yeah, and then I think if everyone approves it, I would probably just update it with whatever date you think we would actually
Yep.
send it, and then I assume it would come via email from you or Barbara since you're the co-chairs,
Yeah,
and
okay.
either maybe copying all of us, or just send it whatever.
Okay, so do we want to vote to approve the letter with the stipulation that Samantha's going to make minimal changes to it, update the date and so forth and so on? With the next step is that we'll submit it to the select board?
Yes,
Okay, so
I second.
I vote we do that.
I second.
They're all in favor? Anybody
Aye.
opposed? Anybody, nobody opposed? Okay, it's done.
Well, that was easy. Thank you.
Yep, good. We like easy.
I'm not in the loop fully. What's this letter about? I haven't seen it.
It's the one about the dam.
Well,
Dam removal.
Okay, I'm just,
You
Doing the
wanna-
minutes here, I
you
just need
wanna-
to know
I
what
mean,
we're
I've
talking
got a
about.
copy of it if you want to look at it.
no,
It's
Really
about,
good. Take our word for it.
well, I appreciate the fact that you haven't seen it, but are you comfortable voting to forward it to the select board?
well, we voted on it, right? It's for our
You
recommendation.
voted
Yeah,
to do, okay,
and it was unanimous, right?
okay. So that's done, right?
Okay, great. I'll update it and send it.
All right, and the next thing that
Want
seems
to later today.
excellent, the next thing that's, is your project, you had identified your project, your key project goals as the tree, the Arbor Day thing, and do you want to
Tree
talk a little?
City.
you wanna-
Yeah.
Tree City, right.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm happy to help out with other things, but at least in the short term, I need to work through our application for this year, get in touch with David to make sure I get the right numbers for everything. David, do you want to try to do what's the upgraded award? God, I can't remember what it's called, but there's like a second level of certification. I don't know that in the past year we've done
Growth award.
Growth award, that's right. Do you want to walk through that together and see if we can apply for it, or just do
I
Tree
mean-
City again?
I have all of the stuff, I think, that we put in for the growth award, but it's up to you. If you think you want to do it, I mean, we got the growth award 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Yeah, and I didn't apply yet last year just because I never managed to get to it face to face with you and sit down and go through it and get the
Right.
materials.
I mean, we probably
so-
would have got it last year. I mean, this year's
Yeah,
been less than the year before, but it's not like a small amount either. Like, we probably could get it if you want to do it.
all right. Well, if I reach out to you, could we maybe set up a meeting
Yep.
to go through the list together and see if we
Yep.
have whatever backup we need? Okay, I'll shoot you an email about that. And then for Arbor Day, we just sort of need to pin down a date. And I know I figured out when the state Arbor Day is, and I know generally what the week is of it, but I don't have that in my mind right now. But before our next meeting, we can talk. I'll propose a date or two. We can figure out when we want to do our Arbor Day celebration.
So something's kind of, some alarms are going off in my head about, there was a discrepancy, and BD probably remembers this, between the state Arbor Day
Yes.
and the town's Arbor Day.
I thought it was a
Yes.
national thing.
Well, it's a national one, a state Arbor Day, I think.
Yeah.
And we did, what did we do last year? The state,
I actually can't remember which date we settled on. I thought we did the
did we do the
national one, but
the
I
national
thought we
one?
did.
And I think the national
Yeah.
one is different than the one we used to do for one reason or another. And I
Right.
don't know the reason or why. So maybe we ought to just figure that out.
We went to
Okay.
Augusta to get the award.
Friday,
right?
April 25th.
And I think we did the
Nancy-
26th last
Nancy
year.
Carl Johnson always just took it and I just,
Yeah, but there was a reason she did it later for some reason, and I can't.
Yeah,
Is it-
we do this national one.
Well, I'll look at the dates and
Is there-
present some
Is there,
thoughts about it, maybe over email.
is there a state Arbor Day?
There is, but they're the same.
Okay, well then it doesn't matter.
That's the
That makes it
deal
easier.
in Augusta, right, where you go, we remember we went to the Vials Arboretum and
No,
Yeah,
Receive-
that was the
that was a
award.
different thing. Yeah,
It's when we went on Mechanic Street, we planted the tree.
oh,
That was the
that was our
celebration.
Arbor
That's the
Day.
official
that
day.
we-
That's,
yeah.
that's the official
Yes.
celebration, and it's not the official day, but it's when we celebrated it. You have to
Yeah,
put it in
okay. All right,
the application.
yep, I got it.
But I think the year before, we did it on Pearl Street, and that was the one we did.
I have,
That's
I
true.
have, I think, I have potential on Hardin Ave, and I think 2 potentials on Spring Street, so I just haven't got them in app, because before you leave, I wanted to do it, I can't log into it. I need to-
So is
Sorry,
there,
I can't hear you. Is that Barb?
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to turn your microphone on, Bob.
Sorry, I was just asking about the password, because I was logged out.
will there be an event then on Arbor Day, and that's going to be planned?
Yeah, we have to settle it. So we need to, David, I'm hoping you can help identify our planting site, right? Just like basically like we've done every year. We have a planting site, we have a little bit of refreshments. We invite some local officials. We do a press release in the newspaper. We take pictures. Yeah,
Cool.
So I mean, I
but
have,
I will work on that. I just need, I
Yeah.
can't talk about dates and logging into things while I'm driving.
No,
So
no.
I will
No
look
problem.
into it and I will email everybody with some thoughts and proposals. But for the current time being, I guess this is just talking about what our priorities are. And I feel like for the next few months, that's going to be my primary focus. And then helping out in other ways as needed.
Is that, it's right around Earth Day too. April 25th is Arbor Day, but Earth Day, I think, is like, it's in the 20s, right? So I don't know,
Often, yes.
maybe we could like combine them or something.
and then the other thing too is I know the library has been talking about wanting to plant a few trees over at the library. So maybe that could be, so you know when you go down Atlantic Ave,
Yeah,
right on the
Yeah.
corner of the sidewalk there, we redid the sidewalk, there's a bump out. And Tyler Smith was saying that would have been a good location, and I probably could cut out a square in the sidewalk there, and that'd be a cool spot.
That would be.
Is
That'd
that
be a
where
good-
they just dug up?
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe that's one of the
You can
spots.
dig
The
in
other
a
thing is,
hole.
we're hoping to put 3 trees down on the Shady Bell Park thing, whatever it's called.
Yeah, that would be another
One of
place,
them,
but we can come up with the place, right?
That's
Yeah.
great.
Well, I have a question. Does the Tree City USA signs you see around, does that have anything to do with Arbor Day, or are they two separate programs?
Yes. So that's so what I would be working on is we have to annually reapply through the Arbor Day Foundation for our Tree City USA designation, which we've now had for 20 to almost 30 years consecutively. I think except for maybe the year of COVID. And so we have to get that recertification. We have to celebrate Arbor Day and publicize it. We have to do a certain percentage of our town's budget towards trees. We have to have a tree warden. So we do all the things. We just have to fill out an application that certifies all of that and details what we've done in the past year, including volunteer hours. It's pretty easy to get recertified as long as we're doing the types of things we're doing. It's just there's a process of filling out forms to get that.
Right. Yep, good.
Great, thank you.
It's a relief.
Okay.
It's a relief that you're going to take care of that, Samantha, with help obviously from us.
Yeah.
Because
It's my pleasure.
it's easy, that can fall through the cracks so easily.
Oh, yeah.
It's in it, and it becomes, I remember, was it last year or the year before, became a crisis because it was like coming up on the date and none of us knew what to do. And we talked to Nancy Johnson and blah, 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 blah. It was like,
Yeah, it's always tough when there's a handover. I think she's been doing it for so long.
Yeah, I know.
I think it's always tough to transition. So I'm trying to keep it a little simple. So if I ever stop doing it, someone else does it. It won't be quite, won't be
yeah.
complicated.
And Nancy did a great job, but it's just
Yes,
like
absolutely.
handing over the baton wasn't easy.
Right.
And then, okay,
Happy to rent out Evelyn for photo ops.
rent out.
She,
Great.
yeah, she has since become genuinely a tree lover. So I'm
Well,
like
that's good.
half serious about that.
Oh, because of the picture?
That's wonderful.
Yeah, but she received a tree book for Christmas, and it's like she slept with it. I mean, it's like it's a
That's
very
great.
sweet thing to behold.
It's
So
really sweet.
yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
it-
That's
it
what it's all
matters.
about, right?
Yeah.
Inspiring future generations.
Yeah.
Anything else, Samantha?
No, thank you. I will stay on. I'll just mute myself again.
That's
Thank you.
perfect. Okay, do you guys want to people want to go around the room and I just want to say a couple of words about this, I guess, before we begin. The objective here isn't to be like a taskmaster. It's about taking some responsibility so you can go and run with it. But we're all here to help each other out, right? And I suspect there's going to be some projects that we have joint interest in, right? But it's such a relief to have somebody take the ball and at least go through the overall planning thought process and get some things down on paper. And then the execution part, like walking around, looking at stuff and observing this and observing that, becomes much easier when you have some guidance as to what tools you need, what the dates, what resources we need. Does that make sense? And you guys are comfortable with that, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, why don't I start? My project is, I'm gonna call it Dash to Save the Ash. I made that up.
The dash to save the ash?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta be careful how you say it. but-
Yes, you
Is this a 5K? Are we doing a 5K run?
For ash trees.
do. Save your ash. Never mind. I'm sorry.
You said, it, I didn't say it.
I did say it. I'll take, yeah.
So there's, Louisa Crane did this report in 2017, which I think many of you have seen. I can send it to anybody that wants. And she identified 452 green ash trees in the village area. And then identified of those 452 trees, 66 that were assigned specimen ash, like a status, right?
Yeah.
And these are trees that have 22-inch,
DBH.
yeah, DBH, right? Height at breast height, diameter at breast height. And that's the way the State Department of Natural Resources measures trees.
Does everybody
I'm
know
sure-
what that is? Do you know
Yeah.
what, you know what diameter breast height is? That's the common thing, like
Say it again?
diameter breast height. That's how they measure all trees generally.
But it's 4 feet off the ground, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So for some of us, it's.
And in the village area. And and she identified the trees, where they were. She assigned different statuses to the trees. Some of them were 100 years or older. Obviously, those are really special trees. So what I want to do is I want to take the data and go out and survey all those trees
That's a
and
great idea.
assign,
Yeah.
determine what the current status of those trees
Mhm.
are, right? And it's a fairly doable project.
That's a great idea.
And I can enter the data into our field maps.
Yep.
If, I got to talk to you about, that we need to create a category, an icon for the ash trees, specimen ash. I don't know how
That'd be
to,
easy enough to do.
yeah, we can talk about that offline. But in the meantime, I can still do what I need to do.
Mhm.
And the trees are all documented, they're all on the maps, it's pretty straightforward.
The 66 or the 454?
454. But the specimen ash trees are identified. If you look at the report,
Yeah, no, I did. I'm just asking you, which ones do you want to
I'm only
review?
going to do the 66.
That's what I'm asking.
I'm not getting into the 454.
Yeah, okay.
I won't live long enough to do all those.
I was gonna say, I mean.
It'll be a ring on a tree.
Not your longevity, but that is a lot to
Right.
do.
Well, and then obviously the benefit of this is that we can then use this data in an EAB preparedness plan, right? Which would be the next step.
Mhm.
Are we going to prepare for the inevitable arrival of emerald ash borer? And one of the things we want to do is we want to triage, right? Some of the trees you're not going to save. Some of them you definitely want to save.
Mhm.
And we can then, but without knowing where they are in the current status, we have no place to start, right? And also, in addition to that, I think we need to alert the property owners of the fact that they have a specimen ash tree on their property. And-
Oh, they haven't even been,
No, I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe I
You
don't.
might set something off that you wished you hadn't.
I mean,
You can go with me, Beatty, and we'll do it together.
But people get freaked.
I know, but
about having a specimen on their on their property.
Know about a tree that might die, that might fall on them, and they might want to take it down right away.
well,
Well, no, you could spin that in a different way. You could say,
Yeah, spin it.
we want to make sure that it's in good shape,
yeah,
and we'll let you know if it isn't. Because if it isn't, we have to do something. Or we don't have to do something. They might want to do something. On
exactly.
private property.
I know.
Okay.
You know-
That's just my
Well, I
Well, that's
mean,
good input, Petey. I hear you. I mean, we need to be, we don't want to be alarmists about it, but at the same time, we want to, here we are with this great program, the street tree program. We don't want to see beautiful old trees that we are already well established get cut down either, because that's kind of counterproductive, right?
It's just I
Well-
encountered so much fear when I was asking for places to.
Right.
Of people who are very afraid of this tiny tree getting big enough to kill them.
Well, these trees are already
Next house
well
then.
established.
So
right?
he's talking about the larger trees.
No, I know, it's just that I was discouraged by the amount of distraction.
So in terms of timing, I can start this. I mean, the trees locations are already identified. I'm not an arborist or anything, but I think I can figure out which ones on the map relate to a tree I'm standing in front of. So I don't need leaves on the tree to, they don't need to be leafed out to confirm with 100% confidence that it's a green ash tree.
right.
So it's a pretty
Bless
good.
you.
So I'm going to take and what I'll do is I'll commit to get that going immediately, assuming the weather cooperates. I'm not going to be out walking around tomorrow afternoon in the blizzard doing it, but I'm a little psycho, but I'm not that psycho. I can plan. I looked at the map. It's all within walking distance of the village, and it's a great opportunity to plan a little walk up this street and around that street and another new loop another time. And if anyone else is interested in
I would love to help people.
Yeah, me too.
walking with me or whatever, I'll let you know when I'm doing it and if you're available. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
Sounds
Do you
great.
do you have a goal for when you want it done? Is it just this calendar year or?
No, well, I'd like to get it done this spring, get it all done.
Okay.
That's a great question, and I should have provided the answer before you.
Then you could like budget how many you're doing a week and all that, and we could.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think I could probably do it all. I'm retired, right? I got to keep myself busy. I love to walk. I could probably do them all in a matter of a month easily if I really wanted to, but I think this spring is a no-brainer.
Yeah, okay.
David?
I was gonna say I don't know, there's a treatment for these, right?
Yes.
An injection into the.
Yeah, so, I mean, is that something that,
It's
That-
expensive, so she says in the report that we should, like,
It's a systemic.
yeah, that you could should basically, one, budget for it, and she recommended the town budget for the.
well, that's where I was going with this. in
Then
that-
pick which ones are worthy of getting this.
Exactly. That's kind of what I was
But
thinking.
this is step one for that.
Right.
Yep, exactly. And then after I get this
Yeah.
done, then we can go to step 2.
Because of, I think that there's fines levied for tree infractions and there's a fund there. We also,
Is that right?
well,
You mean
Um,
like the
Tree infraction.
Metcalf Lane thing with the
No, I
damages?
just like people on Atlantic Ave.
Atlantic
cut the
Ave,
tree.
there was several fines. There's been like three or four fines where people were cutting limbs or trees down that they weren't supposed to.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Oh.
And it's pretty I mean, there's quite a bit of money in there. So,
No, you're the
Wait, so-
tree warden, right?
excuse me?
You're the tree warden?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Wait, so people are cutting branches of trees they don't own?
So, right, they were on public property
Oh,
and they wanted to have a view of this area, so they went and cut down a bunch of trees on
my
on the
God.
town's property without asking, and then I went in and did an inventory of everything they cut, and then they ended up having to pay a fine for everything that they had
Wow,
touched. Yeah.
wow.
I thought the fines for Atlantic Ave were low.
Yeah, but they were in the thousands of dollars.
We've had people in this town who own, have a lot of money and say, it's fine, worth it, I want the view, or I want the whatever.
Yeah, but there's money for the fines that were, for the trees.
So that money is available to use?
I'm just
Potentially?
saying, we'd have to talk about,
Okay.
like, is that, like, once you do the evaluation and we come up with maybe a program, then we would talk about maybe where the funding comes for that, and then that select board would make that decision
Yep.
that we take those funds and we put it towards that, if everything went well,
Good.
But it isn't like we got to ask for different money.
Good.
You
It's
know,
good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll give an update the next meeting where I am, what's going on.
Mhm.
Cynthia,
I
do
could
you
walk
want to
around
go
with you if
next?
you want someone to go with you.
Be great for you to do, Stephen.
Well, I will.
Busier than I used to be. I've joined this group. I've become a Rotarian recently. I'm following the Curtis Island thing and Camden Can. So I used to have nothing to do. Now I got lots to do. So if you
You're
call
gonna-
me and I'm free, I'm glad to do
Find out
it.
about it.
Okay, fair enough. That sounds great. Do you want to?
So since I've been on this board for
1 week.
an
month.
hour, I don't really feel like I mean, I've been thinking and thinking, but
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, well, I don't even know what, what there is
Okay.
in this town yet. So I basically feel like I felt very attracted to the stream project and to the tree.
Yep.
The beach, the ash project. And I
Yeah,
I
you
think I
asked
mentioned
me-
to you that
asked me for the
I'm very
report.
interested in this question of whether there might be a fungus that can be bred, or that it has been bred, that could attack emerald ash borer. And my initial investigations have not been real fruitful, but anyway, I saw a workshop on this a couple years ago, and I thought that would be interesting to research. And so I want to do the tree and the stream project, and probably will jump on other
Well,
ones that
Yeah.
The one other thing that would be good is to get her on the app. But there's an app that we
Yeah.
all were shown to use, and you basically help determine where potential street trees can go, and then you go talk to the owner and say, this is public property, would you like to get a street tree? Like Spring Street had a ton of them come down in the last few years. So and I talked to a few people at your party actually, and they said, we're interested. So I think it's.
What's the app?
What's it called?
Field maps,
Field maps. But
and it's
at the
got
end of
the,
You got to have a login.
it's a GIS.
Oh, okay.
I can show you this stuff.
Brian
Okay.
can teach you that one.
I mean, it's like, I realize you're new to the group and there's so much opportunity and so many exciting things to do.
So does that count as one of the
Yeah,
projects
yeah,
that we're
because-
doing?
Dave needs people to go through, help and make sure that,
You-
it's a couple steps to it, but
What do you call this?
it's called,
Field maps.
Not field maps, but what's the?
It's the town's tree inventory and tree
we
map.
help determine where the new trees will be planted.
It's a GIS tree
So,
map.
but how do you in shorthand refer to that effort of identifying places where people want trees?
Would you call
It's
it?
called Camden Street Trees.
Camden Street?
Yeah, I'm
trees?
looking at it right
But
now on my,
Camden Street tree placement.
The street trees basically is a map of the town digitally, and it has three icons. There's an icon identifying a tree that's planted, a
Yeah.
potential location for a tree, and a potential location of a tree that has been talked to with the adjacent property owner, and they bought into it. So like people will go around, oh, this is a great place for a tree. And then they talk to the owner like, we don't want a tree. So it doesn't get a circle around it, just a star.
Yeah.
But they could go to another place and say, this is a great place for a tree, and talk to the homeowner. And they're like, yeah, okay, we'd like to have them. They put a circle around the star. And then I can open the app up at any time when I have free time and tell one of my people, go plant a tree in this spot.
And so that's basically what that article was about.
Yes.
Yeah.
so
It kind of really takes a lot of the footwork out of where these things have to go for me, so I can
Yeah.
just do the work of planning.
Yeah, great.
why don't,
Sounds fun.
I'll make a suggestion. Why don't I email you, and I can copy whoever else wants we can set up a time in the next couple of weeks to get together somewhere, like we meet at Zut or someplace. And I can show you the stuff. I can answer your questions. We can talk a little bit, kibitz a little bit about some of the things
Okay.
with that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, and that will be like, it's just, the objective is just an information exchange. get a little more comfortable with what we're talking about. I can show you the app on the
Right.
phone, how it works.
Stuff you don't want to spend time on in this.
Yeah, and, you know, yeah, exactly. But also like, get you comfortable with
Mhm.
because I know you're really excited about it and everything, and it's not, I can totally imagine you feel a little bit like deer in the headlights because there's so much going on and,
Right.
but we'll figure it all out. So I'm going to send you an email. Anybody else want to be involved?
I know.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, at least put me on there, and if I can do
All
it,
right.
I'd like to.
And it'll probably be like 10 o'clock next Wednesday or Thursday or some different
10
date.
o'clock on a Friday night.
Yeah, no.
Or what?
I already got 5 hours sleep by then. I'm a morning person.
I'm only kidding.
5 o'clock in the morning would work, but
10 o'clock on a
It'll
Friday
have to be
night
week after
is
next, so I'm going
bedtime
away.
for me now.
I'm going away
I have
next
to go sleep
week,
for 2
Yeah,
hours.
but week
whenever.
after.
That's when I get my
Well,
work
you can
done, when
send me an
everyone's in bed.
email
Right.
with a couple of date choices during the day, right?
Yep.
I'm pretty open most of the time.
Yeah.
Fair enough?
Great.
Okay.
On the ash trees, are there markers that you can tell the condition of the tree this time of year without any leaves on them?
No, I don't think so. The conditions of the trees
Suitable.
has already been identified in the report, but that's a really good question.
It is, actually.
I know on my street, 2 of the trees are gone. And, you know, so it's good. The initial reconnaissance is going to be like,
It's
yep, I see it. I
Wait,
don't-
what was the date of the, I forget, what year did she do that report?
2017.
Okay, yeah,
Yep.
that is a while ago.
So it's old.
Yep, it's old.
Stephen?
Hey, Kathleen,
Oh,
thanks for
My
coming.
project?
Yeah.
Oh, I think we ought to
can
do
I
what
speak?
Dave wanted.
Did you?
with the,
Yeah, you
street
can, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
on street.
Thanks for coming.
We're gonna identify,
about
we're
last
gonna
meeting.
identify whether or not a stream is a stream.
So you're interested in,
Well, I'm not on the committee. I'm Kathleen Lundell, but I just wanted to give you an update about the brochure that we did. I don't know.
Oh,
I thought that was great, for sure.
yeah, it was,
I bought them some extras.
Wow.
Because,
good.
has everybody gotten one of these?
I did.
No.
I haven't gotten that one.
Okay, these, the
Um,
reason, I'll just do it quickly.
Go ahead.
Because we printed
No, that's okay.
200, I think.
You,
An
you,
envelope.
you and Molly.
Molly Harish.
Yep.
The reason we have this little rubber band thing is we found out that to mail them would cost about $700.
Really?
Wow.
Wow.
And we couldn't get a bulk mailing thing. So,
That's pretty snazzy.
so Molly and I went around and put them on people's doorknobs.
That's
and
great.
Really?
Sort of got the tree vote out right around
Wow.
election time. But
You
we
get
didn't,
the,
we
you get
didn't-
the really ambitious award.
Yes.
We thought they were very beautifully done.
I mean, look at that. That looks great.
but we still have a lot of,
Thank
we still have a
Oh,
lot
look
of
at
them. And I just wanted to get some input about how we can use them. And I mean, could we somehow connect it to the Arbor Day celebration?
Yeah, where have you put them? I mean, is there places that didn't get them yet?
It,
Really?
we had a little map.
Authoritative.
We basically, there's a lot of places we didn't.
Well, maybe
Do it.
we could help.
Yeah,
Some of
it's
those
it's a lot, it's,
forgot we
you
did
know, I
this.
think what happened was, it's a lot of work knocking on people's doors.
Oh, God, it's a.
And also, the great thing is that I did Pearl Street, a whole bunch of other streets, and people were really glad to get this brochure. I got,
Yeah.
and same with Molly, there were a lot of people who really don't want their trees cut down. That was the big takeaway, I think.
Yeah.
And so I'm not on the committee, but I'm very interested in sort of the PR, the culture of keeping trees. And I think this sort of addresses that this is.
So you
a
guys
key-
did all this on your own?
Yes.
This is
Wow.
really impressive.
Molly
Yes.
actually
Yeah.
bought those labels from.
That's
the
great.
place downtown.
Really?
Yeah.
I was wondering, I mean, if you and Molly could get together and think about which streets you didn't do
Respect your alders.
and let us
Did you
know,
see
and then
that?
maybe
No.
some of us could,
Okay.
can't do it now, but
Sure.
could maybe, I mean, you don't necessarily have to go up to the door if they're not home, just leave them on the
Can you give me
doorknob,
another
right?
one of those?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so
Right. No, yeah,
That
but
would
I
be,
think,
that would be a good thing so that we
this-
can
this
keep
was
it
sort of
going.
a trial
We've done
run.
all the work.
yeah, no, so I mean, it's just something maybe for the committee to think about, whether they'd like to have these materials for the future, to
Right.
put out, like even on election day, to have a little booth.
Well,
with these
Plus
kind of-
Arbor Day.
And Arbor Day, yeah. So we're sitting with the remaining of that,
Well-
and there's not that much left, but we could reprint it.
Respect your alders.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is that I'm particularly interested in cultural events that support loving trees or not cutting trees down. Like, for instance, I was thinking for Arbor Day, maybe we could have the library have a poetry series of people who write about trees or have poems for trees, and work with the St. Vincent Millay
maybe-
place in Rockland to
Oh, yeah.
Maybe the children's hour that week could be about
books about
Trees
trees. And even when you were talking about the tree on Lake Beach, maybe have stories collected about what that tree meant to people.
Oh, yeah.
Just have
Great idea.
sort of, aside from the tree itself, have sort of this human attachment to trees is something I'm very interested in. And I think that makes people love their trees more too, or protect them more. I'm
Right.
really interested in saving the trees that are here. Aside from planting trees, I
Right.
feel like that still is
You gotta put that on your wagon.
a big issue that even since, I last was here on Barb, there's like 5 of those giant white pines got cut down.
by,
So Hardin Avenue, the back, it's like the trees are going down and it's a year later.
I know.
So if I can, Molly also was not able to come, but if we can help sort of with this sort of materials,
You
we're
gotta,
still here, we're interested, so.
yeah, those are great ideas.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
great ideas.
And I don't know, like, maybe I should just contact Samantha about the poetry thing or stuff like, to have more
Yeah.
public programming for Arbor Day week. maybe.
That's a great idea, yeah. You can make maybe the event a little bit more,
Public
Dynamic.
and festive
yeah.
of sorts. I mean,
Yeah.
not,
It'll take more planning, and it's gonna take more work to do that kind of thing,
right.
but
I'd be glad to get involved
I
with that
think,
part.
I think people would, this could turn into like the next Woodstock,
Yeah,
Well,
right.
it could be a festival.
Well,
you know,
no,
I
that's
mean,
where I'm being funny, but
Toboggan Week.
No,
I'm
or,
doing funny,
you
but
know.
instead of like
you got wood in it.
that was the pun, if you didn't,
Right.
Got it.
Yeah.
but,
I
It's
didn't
about
get
as
that one.
it's about as exciting as I want to get at my
Yeah,
age.
so that
no,
will-
but this is how you get people like excited about things. You build up a buzz about it, and then
Right.
you bring other people into it with different components.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And also that Camden's a tree city, so
Yeah,
it's like something to celebrate.
yeah, and people could have a good time at the same time.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot about trees we've already discussed, and I think there's the Arbor Day thing with Samantha Mortlock. Then there's the tree planting thing,
Right.
which Rebecca expressed. She's not here. She couldn't make it, but she wants to be sort of the chair of that whole thing, right? Which is really good. So there's plenty of outlets and opportunities to use this.
Okay.
yeah.
For sure. And then we just get that press release. I don't know what the response to that's been. but-
This is pretty unreal, really, if you think about it, because it isn't always about the trees, right? It's about the trees, but it's not about the trees. It's about rallying around something and then growing it into the other areas that you guys are find common interest in and want to help with. So, I'm pretty impressed on seeing how fast this has grown from when did we start this? 3-4 years ago? 3 years ago, maybe?
The commission or the,
The whole tree
Thing,
tree
yeah.
effort. It's really just kept on growing
Right.
each year. And now it's kind of growing this way. It's not just going forward, it's kind of expanding outwards. So
Right.
it's kind of cool that you guys done this. I'm really impressed. Because I've been involved in these kinds of things, and they don't always keep on growing. Sometimes it just kind of fizzles, and this one is kind of exponentially grown. You guys are doing a great job.
You know,
It's
one thing I
about it.
wanted to add since we're on the tree conversation, but
Hmm.
I was I think this is, in some towns, the Conservation Commission is the tree warden or at least assistants to the tree warden. And I mean, I was thinking like some of these specimen trees that are on town property, I mean, the right of way or any other trees that are especially nice, even if they're in private property. Maybe we could put like these, like little signs or something. This is like these little metal signs with legs. that
Yeah.
I think that's
say-
these heritage trees kind
Yeah,
of.
heritage trees type
Yeah.
thing and that maybe indicates that it's protected by the town of Camden or.
Or get people
I
to
don't know.
recognize the fact.
I think
it's
recognizing it,
Special.
yeah, that it's special. I think that,
But make them nice and heavy duty, they stand through the winter, no, like.
yeah. I mean, if someone told you you had this beautiful thing and everybody's likes it and they're making a big deal about it, it makes it kind of hard to cut down.
Right.
That's really the reality of
Yeah.
it, even if it's on
And-
private
and
property.
Historic resources comes up every once in a while because we tried to make it hard to cut down a house. Demolition ordinance that we got only for the historic areas, but always came up, what if we had something for trees?
Yeah.
For a big tree, you had a process of, if it had to go.
Like a
then at
nomination.
least telling everybody and honoring it. And there was a lot of feeling in historic resources, which is one reason I joined for a long time.
Right.
Well, I don't know if they still do it, but the state used to put out a booklet for the biggest trees of all.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh
They
yeah,
still do that?
oh yeah.
'Cause I have
Check
old ones.
that
and We
out.
could do
Yeah.
a
6
similar
months
thing for
ago.
Camden. if we
Right,
wanted.
the
Nancy's tree
heritage
walk,
tree
which is
brochure,
now-
right? Is that, you were working on updating the heritage tree brochure?
Yeah,
or
actually,
Is that,
Barb and I did the walk and
oh,
I
okay,
located it. The only one that's missing is the late beech tree.
okay.
You know, we was one we couldn't find one of the location. It was missing the one off right behind that little road that behind St. Thomas Church that goes over towards
Yeah,
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
what's her name? Aunt Betty's or whatever it's called.
Fran,
Oh.
What's that little road? That's
Franny-
one-way street.
Lucky bit.
Wood Street,
Lucky Betty's.
Yeah.
Wood Street.
Wood Street. There was one there we couldn't find, but some of them,
Oh,
it was
yeah.
interesting, but like some of the trees were like, I have the same tree in my yard, it's much bigger than this. So some of it was just a little
Yeah.
Outdated, right?
outdated and,
Well, and then, life took over and it.
Right.
yeah, and then
But maybe that's something.
there's
That
some
would be a
others
good
listed
thing
that
to
don't have a
update
map
then.
on. What?
Wouldn't that be a good thing to update?
That would be
Yeah,
nice
definitely.
at some point. I don't think it's a
Nancy did
highest
the
priority,
map.
but what?
at what she considered she'd only done half the town.
Yeah.
She ran out of time and money and.
Yeah. It was a nice
So-
start.
Yeah.
Well, I was
All
in
right.
Beatty's yard the other day and I looked at her neighbors and they got an oak tree that I was
You
astonished.
can
It's like
see it from
this.
Mount Batty. It has a huge.
The trunk is like
You can see it from the space shuttle.
monstrous.
There's a Copper Beach near there too. That's pretty.
Just down.
Yeah.
from me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, if I could just conclude with, so I'm not on the committee, but would it be okay, like, if I did go to the library?
Of course.
and
Of
say,
course.
Would you like to have some poetry things or a children's hour
Oh,
about trees? Okay.
absolutely.
On Arbor
You're
Day
a
week.
Conservation Commission volunteer.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
So there's I think there's a new library director over there.
Yeah.
Yes, there
she's
is,
good.
yes.
And she seems really nice. And maybe, we should tell her that we want to maybe include the library and like the Arbor Day thing and tie this into it,
Right, 'cause you
as
said-
one idea. I wouldn't commit totally
Right.
to it, but like, what do you think maybe about
Yeah,
this?
because you mentioned
Right.
planting trees over there.
Yeah.
I mean, if that spot can take a tree, I think we should just say that's it. And find a tree that would work in that little bump up.
Yeah.
I used to do programming for a public library, and I also, I don't know if you want to talk about how to approach them, because I think it can feel sometimes like they get a lot of suggestions, I'm guessing, for programming,
Exactly.
but not a lot of people who are willing to like, do the work essentially. So
right.
it might just be nice to touch base on approaching them in a way that we feel like where we can commit to the thing that we're
Right.
doing,
Yeah,
which
no, that's-
sounds like you're
That's a
Very
good
committed.
suggestion.
Yeah.
And Amy
It's a really
Hand,
good
who does
suggestion.
children, would love to, bring the books
Right,
out. and
that's Miss
read.
Amy, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, Amy
No.
Hand. Yeah, everyone knows Amy.
I don't want to get crazy, but there could be music and there could be, you could do all kinds of
You're
stuff.
just trying to make Woodstock happen. We hear you. We see it.
No. It's just, we can
Anyway,
make
I'd
a
be
big
happy to
deal
help.
out of it.
Thank you. Okay,
Kathleen,
great.
I have a huge file.
I think you're having a flashback.
on Woodstock.
I was just thinking, like, I've been through the amphitheater and they've always got events going on
Yeah.
over there. Have, like, you could have a gathering. That would be great if you could just do it at the amphitheater,
Yeah, it's a good time of year.
Yeah.
It's not cold.
So you're gonna contact the library when you get a chance, right?
Yes,
And you have a lot more of these left.
yes.
So we need to noodle on how to utilize these.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll
Yeah,
always-
and also to get them just the brochure reprinted.
That's excellent.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks so
Great.
much.
Sure.
Yeah, great job.
Beautifully done.
Very nice.
We have
Yeah,
any
that was-
openings on our commission?
I already tried to hustle her. She doesn't want to, she only wants to be,
Well, not everybody wants to
Well,
commit to.
I'm really into this part and.
You're sort of a subcommittee on your own.
Beatty's the same boat. She
feel
won't
the
commit.
same.
You're not on
You
that
don't-
position, right? Yes, you are on this committee.
I'm
though.
not.
Okay,
I
okay.
just
I'm in
attend
good company then.
Right.
and
And that's okay. You know what?
Happened to me.
Yeah.
I just attended. And now,
It's
Now you're
sneaks
really
up on
here.
you.
anyway, so Stephen, you want to talk about your,
Well, I think we ought to do what Dave talked about at the last meeting,
what's
find
that?
out where the streams are. I've-
And whether
the
they're a
definition,
stream or
I
not.
found out all the ditches behind my house cannot be streams.
Rebecca
And
also
I was
wants
watching
to
the
do
meeting
that.
last night about all the retention ponds.
Mhm.
I used to live in Pleasant Ridge years ago, and I've seen that pond, and I know it's a problem.
So
But I
that's,
didn't know there were other ones around.
There's-
If we could help him with that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna steal Allison's thunder. That's her baby, and I don't want to
Then
talk
Let's,
about it.
let's talk about, let's just see,
Yeah.
there's lots of things we could do, we're trying to figure out what we will do and can get done.
Yeah,
I mean, the Conservation Commission can go in a million directions, but we actually want to get things done. But, so we'll put you on the stream thing
stream
with.
identification.
with-
so we need to get that GIS.
So we gotta,
Rebecca.
so that's something else. So like, maybe we can talking to the GIS people about doing this stuff, it's better to kind of include all of it at once, so I don't keep on going back to the pool. So, I know you talked about the emerald ash borer icon on the map.
Yep.
And then we talked,
I can still do what I need to do without that. It's
I also think these are only modifications to the GIS, so they're not such a big lift to get them done, but the stream thing, I think we have a lot of that kind of in the system too
It's
already.
on our town website. too.
Yeah. So that's just a matter of creating functionality and some drop downs of like, what are we gonna put in there? So I can just imagine like you click on, part of the stream and then there'll be like, several selections that say, okay, these are the criteria for a stream. Does it have a defined bank? Does it have a gravel bottom?
Right.
Does it, and then it will have those things put in there. And then if, let's say it meets all the criteria, it changes the stream of color. So now it's a stream. Blue means stream, like red means drainage, something like that. I don't want to solve it all here, but something like that.
Yes.
So, but then you guys go out and you
do the survey.
do the survey, fill in the pull downs and kind of identify it. And then we have something in the system that says, then you can take it a next step further and then you can tie in, ordinances or kind of policies that say, okay, if this has been identified as a stream in the town of Camden, then there's, you can't build so close to, I don't want to say what it is, but it'll be
So
whatever it is.
Are all the bits of water on the map already? Or are we
Yeah,
gonna
so
just-
and I got to look back at it, but there's been something done already by a past conservation commission, and you might have been involved in that at some point.
I wasn't.
And somebody had done a lot of work already.
You could talk to them. It would be a good idea to talk to them in general. I think this committee is completely avoided because of the bad feeling.
Oh, you mean the other people? No, I don't think they were involved in this. I think this was done like years ago,
Oh, okay.
and it's on. And we have digital imagery of the streams. A lot of them. They've already been identified. I say streams, where water moves through.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we have
There's some buried streams.
We
Right,
have,
So like, I was just thinking like.
you don't have to
how-
reinvent this.
Okay, because it would be really complicated to
No,
actually like, you know.
This
point
has
out,
been-
Here's some water.
this has
and-
been done.
Okay,
And it's all, for you, you're gonna have to,
although we might discover. that there's
yeah,
something-
and we'll have a functionality for something new, let's say, but I think all of this is already laid out.
Could that program come here and be projected so everybody could kind of talk about it?
Oh,
at the
yeah.
same time?
Yeah.
That would be helpful. I think,
Yeah, that's a good
everybody
point,
Get
Katie.
those concepts.
Yeah, I mean, that makes it-
Visually in their mind.
It's pretty easy to do that. I have to follow up where we left that off, because that was on the old GIS system, and I can't remember if that got, I gotta look
Like,
into
but
it.
like you can go, for now, you can go to the town of Camden, look at the GIS
Yeah.
part, like this, and I just put in layers, like this is the drainage.
And there's one that says drainage,
Drainage.
I think it's under drainage, and I think a lot of the, a
Still a
lot
little
of,
hard to,
yeah.
what are we talking about
I
here?
think a big part of it's done.
Um,
Not done, but identified as water moving through, let's say, and it's part of drainage.
And do you have to like go back and back all year round to make sure that like how,
Yeah, spring is very different from,
right,
and then when we get a
Like
big rain,
perennial-
Mount Batty just.
We'll set up the criteria, you know what I mean? And then we'll have a little training session. Maybe we'll bring someone in from the DEP to kind of go over it a little bit.
okay,
You know, we'll make this like a full-fledged thing. We're not gonna just wing it.
all right.
okay,
Yeah.
So Rebecca said she talked to Shenley in the planning office about this already.
Mhm,
So just FYI.
mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe we could drag them into the whole thing too. And
So how are we going to make this happen?
I'm gonna take care of the parts that need to be taken care of.
And you're okay with that?
Yeah, it's just a matter of me.
And then,
The guy reached out to me, the GIS person from CAI, and I'll talk with him about it.
and then Steve and anyone else who's interested can use those tools and go out and confirm and, you know, put our eyes on it and say, yep, this is a stream, or this says it's a drainage culvert and it's really a stream, or
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah,
that's the
right?
key thing.
Or maybe work in pairs with someone who's really good at the computer and.
Yeah, well, if
who's
someone goes
good
with
at
me,
the
we're
water.
Yeah.
gonna need somebody who's technologically.
But I
Well, you can
guess-
still do it and just write it down.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you know, it's good to have more than one person because you don't,
Judgments.
yeah, it can get subjective, you know what I mean? And
Well, Rebecca said she is really interested in it. So,
yeah,
Well, there's easy ways to tell, like ditches behind my house have got grass bottoms.
You can tell by the
And there's, you know,
plants.
it's just drainage. I know it's drainage. There's times there's a lot of water in there, but it's
Right.
not a stream.
mhm.
So. I
Those
would
are
think-
those are good things to know.
I think it's good to have records and
Yeah.
stuff that those
Yeah.
wetnesses.
And you know, the other thing too is you can
all
create a
right, we
stream
gotta
too.
keep moving.
Sam?
Beatty, did you have a,
No, well, I'd just like to say that I still have hopes that I'll get out and solicit, even though I got discouraged and I brought copies which I keep passing. This is something that I did a long time ago that is to try to convince people that it's a good idea to have shade trees, but you don't get shaded in the winter because they don't get that often. And
Right.
so I have these handouts, so pass that around that explains that. And then these I have some copies of. This is the bumper sticker,
That's great.
Ooh,
which is slightly rude.
it's okay, get your attention.
Nobody uses bumper stickers anymore.
I wasn't even thinking of that.
Yeah,
Where'd you get that?
I made it.
Wow,
I have them printed.
no kidding.
Shade your asphalt with ash.
Well,
yeah.
yeah, that's a little scary now, but anyway. So if anybody wants, this is what I hand out.
Yeah, that,
Nobody's there, and I added in the Kendall part, you know, with,
Mhm.
so actually, Pamela Gleason, who was on, we were working
Right.
together on this, and you. I mean,
Yep.
you know, this was gonna happen, and then I don't know what happened, but
life
it
happened.
didn't happen.
She just made me think of some, so this whole thing of calling Kendall if you want a tree type of thing, that's still gonna require the whole, like, somebody taking that and then putting it into the app after.
I
Just-
talked to her.
Yeah.
I said, and she seemed to feel that she would give it to somebody who would do it, so.
Okay. I'm just saying that I don't want to go back to the, hey, I just want a tree type of thing. And then we got to keep it down on our list. And I want to keep that process of digitally marking it, because what happens is it may not get planted. And
What does happen? So someone calls her, says, I want a tree.
this is,
The procedure's not really worked out.
I see.
yeah, that doesn't work, it seems like, or hasn't worked. But what we can do is take the list and then maybe disseminate that to you guys or somebody, and then we can just go around and put it in check the location, put it down on,
Maybe if she gets any people to call her, she can email Brian and I.
we've gotten a lot of calls already.
Well, maybe she can, at some point, she can just
Well, so,
You
look,
know,
give us those names and phone numbers or whatever. And
you know what I mean, right?
it should go in the app.
Yeah.
I'm
Opposed to
getting-
just being on a
I'm
list.
probably getting too
That's easier.
task oriented again, but look, here's kind of what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Rebecca said, my project is street tree program,
Uh-huh.
right? So my project's the ash tree. That's what I want to work on. And if I don't focus, I'm never going to get anything done, right?
Gotcha.
So I'm going to do that.
Yep.
I'm happy to help, by the way, but
Yeah,
I got to focus on that because otherwise
fair enough.
I'm going to get diluted. Rebecca said she'd really like to do the street tree program.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems to me, and I'm throwing this out there for you guys,
Mm-hmm.
that she should be the one that should be contacted by Ken. She can head that up, and if she needs help,
Sure, yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah.
And
That makes sense.
if we don't divide and conquer, we're just
I'm-
gonna get so like,
I'm not saying anything different.
no,
Yeah.
I'm,
I agree with you.
and then, Steve wants to get involved, he can talk to Rebecca. Rebecca's the one who's heading it up.
Mhm.
That's the leadership we need, right?
Mhm.
So
Because
if
we all
people
got
call Kendall, then what happens?
What's that?
Well, the ideal thing is if they want a tree, is we put them right in the
Yeah.
app at the time we're talking to them.
Yep, and
And
then,
it's only if in a newspaper article or something, you need some contact. That's what Kendall's for. She's not supposed to be how
No,
you order a
no,
tree. You're
Right.
supposed to, if you want a tree, we put it in the app.
right.
And that's what has to, if she calls Kendall, it still has to come back.
Because
Of course,
it's there forever.
Yeah.
Once it's in that app, you put it on a piece of paper. I mean, it starts getting hard to manage.
But it
yeah,
sounds
it's
like,
gotta be in the app, but
Yeah.
Rebecca can put it in the app, or she
Yeah.
can say, Brian, could you do it for me?
Yeah.
And she sends them in, I'd do it. I don't mind doing it.
Yeah.
It's just that, we need to stay very focused on what it is where our,
Yep.
pet program.
But
right?
this is another thing, and you're right. I think Rebecca can do that.
And we all know what each other's areas of interest are,
Mhm.
and we work together, but we work independently.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
You
yes.
guys are all comfortable with that,
Yeah,
right?
no, I think that makes sense.
Because if we don't do that, we're all gonna be sitting here 6 months from now, still talking about putting things in the street tree database and nothing will get done, which,
Yeah.
So
You
are
know.
we putting out these ideas? I thought we were all gonna give our ideas and pick one or two and concentrate on those. Are we gonna?
That's what he's saying.
We're gonna do them all.
No, he's saying exactly what you just said. He says he doesn't want to get watered down. His thing's the ash tree. Rebecca's,
I'm gonna do the ashtray. Anybody wants to join?
you're
me?
doing the stream stuff. She hasn't really decided.
No, I said I
You wanted to do, you want to do both.
Tree the
Yeah.
street, perfect.
Streams and trees, so she can work with Rebecca.
Interest, right?
Sam said she was going to take over my job.
I would like to go on the record and rebut that.
Does that
Uh,
make sense, right?
Yes,
Oh, yeah, we're all on the same board.
Let's keep going.
Okay, keep moving.
although we should talk about pay and benefits and then.
All right.
Speaking of Sam,
Yeah,
Samantha was talking about the Arbor Day,
Yes,
Tree City stuff.
which is a
awesome.
huge help.
I mean, that's like a
huge.
huge relief.
yeah.
We don't have to worry about it unless Samantha has a problem, and then she can,
And then Kathleen silently went out and did this with Molly, which is just another amazing thing. So you guys are cranking it.
all right,
Yeah.
Sam.
Yeah, so I still feel pretty new. So, which is, I know, but
Trial by fire.
but I think probably I feel like I'm most useful when I'm like supporting, like the street tree thing is happening and I can I can like shovel, I can dig a hole. I can't necessarily identify what trees are, going to be best to plant. Like that's really not my expertise. So I feel like I'm like an operations person. So I feel like I'm going to be good to support a lot of these projects, but also to help like publicize them. I think I can be
I know, that's
helpful in
very
that.
You did a great
Um,
job with that press release.
Thank you.
Great.
Thanks.
That's,
Well, I
Could be the
actually,
PR department.
that's great to be able to, we
what
need people
Sam
that
said
can do
worked for
that.
me
That's,
because I have a couple of ideas.
Okay, well, I can be a supportive arm. I have a few ideas which are sort of like mushy because I don't have some of the expertise and I feel like I
I have a lot of
require.
mushy ideas.
I know they're all mushy.
just throw them out there and we'll shut them down.
So I'll throw out. I'll throw them out hopefully
And we
quickly.
want to make sure you have, your confidence is too high.
Yeah, no, just like crush me a little bit. There hasn't been enough of that. Yeah.
Oh my God.
No, so I'll just toss them out quickly. We've talked a little bit about like a speaker series type of deal, like having people come in, talk to us. And I think there are a lot of different directions to go in. I think there's like local partnerships that can be built up, local relationships that can be built up, but also people who are, I don't know, like someone from I don't know, like someone who can come in and talk to us and maybe educate us a little bit.
Like about the emerald ash borer stuff. you know?
Yeah,
Right.
there are some
Yeah.
specific ideas that we've come up with that I have in my notes, but
Okay.
so that's one idea.
And you're thinking that you would be like spearheading the organization?
Yeah, like organizing.
I love that
that.
idea. That's
That's
great.
awesome.
Are these like library talks?
Sorry?
Are these like talks that would be at the library?
No, these would be like, well, I don't entirely know. I think it requires some development. So, so like somebody to come in and talk to us during one of our meetings or like a lunch and learn type of deal.
Yeah.
It's tough to pull people too far out of their, I mean, I think about like Rebecca, for example, who's like wall to wall. I'm pretty busy during the day, so I don't really know. I
No,
think there's a
but
lot
what
of
you're
room for
saying
that.
is it would be something informational for the group, but
Yeah.
it could evolve into something larger like what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like a
All
step
these
one.
meetings are open. People can come to the meetings as, and
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah.
Well, that's a communication piece. And if we're having a meeting and we're going to have a speaker, she could like communicate that.
Yeah.
I can communicate
People
that.
can come.
But do you have some examples of like local relationships to build? I mean, I like that concept in general and it's
Yeah.
really important, but I don't know enough about who's
I-
around here.
I think it needs a little development. There are some like random ideas that I have that are not necessarily like cohesive yet around like a central theme or
I
something.
can give you an idea because like Rockland has contacted us about our tree program. They
Yeah.
want to know more about it. So
Yeah.
that'd be like something maybe it could diversify like
yeah.
another town.
Like sharing other communities'
Yeah.
experiences.
Yeah.
There was also somebody, we talked about it last meeting about having somebody come in, like even just having Jeremy come in and talk to us for a little bit. There was
Like on the stream stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
somebody who, so I can go back and collect more examples, but I think the point is like, it's easy to be like, oh, we should have that person come and talk to us. And then it doesn't happen.
Okay.
It's really easy to lose those threads and I would be happy to like pull those threads forward.
That's a good idea.
So there was that. Now I've lost my place.
So you're comfortable with that? You're gonna
Yep.
like think about it, and that's
Yeah.
great. It doesn't have to be like a tree stream thing. It
Yeah.
can be anything.
It could be
Yeah.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been listening to you do this kind of on your own anyway, of bringing messages along. It's something you do naturally, I think.
Thank
so.
you. Thanks, Speedy.
And, yeah. So.
Yeah, trying to at least. So there's that, and then there are a couple other things. I'm interested in the. There's some water quality reports on the website that I've glanced through on my own, which I personally find very interesting. Being on the commission and also just like living here and like having for example, a child who's like, let's go to Lake Beach and swim, and I'm like, oh.
That's a great opportunity because it's not that is there's a program, safe clean beaches or
Yeah.
Yes.
and
Healthy beaches.
healthy beaches. Yeah, I mean, and I was in charge of it in Rockland. I don't remember a lot of it to be honest with you because
Yeah.
I moved on. But I think that, being part of that and maybe enhancing that a little bit might be a helpful thing.
Yeah,
More awareness of why there are problems with the beaches,
yeah,
because there's like, people bringing their dogs on the beach. That's a big problem. I know it's a touchy thing too,
it is,
though.
yeah.
Esperanza Stanchioff, who's
Yeah.
with the climate, she was part of water testing that went on for a long time with
Yeah.
school people. And I don't know what is happening now, but I'm sure there is testing happening. And this group probably should know about it.
Yeah, and the reports that are currently on the website are pretty old. They're like over 10 years old.
Wow.
Um,
Yeah.
Fits with the activities.
It's like
Okay.
ancient.
Yeah.
And while it's not a competition, Rockport has some of those materials on their own website. And I thought,
No, I think
Boy.
that's a good thing to work on. That's a great thing.
as we say at my job, it's not a competition, but we still like to win. So,
So you're
Not a
talking about,
competition, but it
you're
is a
talking about
competition.
yeah.
harbor water quality, not drinking water quality.
Yeah, harbor water quality. I'm interested in exploring that a bit. I don't know if we have a role to play in that, but if you have opinions on that and you see potential there, I
There
would
is,
be interested.
in the lab at the treatment plant, we just have a brand new lab we built over there. We could probably do some testing.
Yeah.
Montgomery River where people swim. Montgomery Lake
Okay.
and the harbor.
I mean, just informational testing is good too. You could just do a testing regimen at locations and just to
I sent you a
show.
link that has some of the information.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'd
Yeah.
like you to check.
And I could find out if Maine Healthy Beaches is still going on. It
It is.
probably is.
It is.
So
It is,
okay,
and
so
we-
do you know
I
how?
think, I think Holly was the contact for
Okay.
that.
Holly.
Holly Anderson.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So I got a card today from a private outfit, said every so often you're supposed to have your water tested. It's obviously, if you look at it, a come on from a business to get business.
Mhm.
And if you're on the town water, I figure I'm on town water, they must test it. I don't need this. Is that true?
So I worked at a bottling plant for a big company I was a microbiologist over there at one point in time. And swear to God.
Tossing that out there.
Swear to God for Poland Spring, and there's FDA requirements for all the drinking water that they have to meet. Doesn't mean that it's not close, but they do. They're very strictly regulated.
But I can assume that our town water is safe.
Yes, and you can go to the Maine Water website, and they have all of that data there.
You're a renaissance man.
There's nobody you can ask in Camden, though. You have to go to Maine Water and go to. their
Maine
website.
Water is where you would go with that. Yeah.
You
Town
could,
doesn't know
you could have a little.
Trusted.
All right, we got to keep moving.
Good
We
job,
got
Barb.
Barb next.
Barb, you're
Okay,
there.
I had, the thing I wanted to, I've been actually started working on is looking at our current shoreland zoning laws of.
That's a big one.
And which are basically just the state mandate, but some towns around the state have, a lot of people feel that they're pretty lax in their, and they should be strengthened. So I've been looking at towns who have strengthened them, like, because there's been a lot of pressure on, especially the lakes in the town area and some of the streams where people are building right up close to them, and they're doing it kind of within the realm that the state allows, but it's really not. They're the minimum standards. And so I've been looking at that and wanted to keep researching that and come up with a policy, some recommendations that could make them be better, so we have better quality.
It's really neat.
It's
That's
kind of big.
huge.
I've been working on it for a lot, and I only have a little bit that I've been able to pull together, but I'm keeping all these notes. And I think what Rebecca said was that she was interested in that too, but she was talking on streams, but maybe I misunderstood her too. But anyway, I would be great to have someone who I can bounce some stuff off of, if I don't mind doing that, because it's basically going through zoning ordinances all over the place, and then I'm making a little Excel sheet of comparing things. And so it's kind of deep, but like I said, not going anywhere. So I've been having some more time on the computer.
So what part of the situation is going to be like needed to be addressed by stronger zoning ordinance? I mean, like shoreline zoning, and what part would be attributable to just people getting things past code enforcement? Like how is our code enforcement in your, I mean, are you assessing that or?
I'm reading the code enforcement officer, basically, they enforce what our zoning codes are.
And you feel like
And
they're doing that?
I'm comparing what our codes are,
Yeah.
which I know and have been told are on the weak side because they're just the state minimums. And looking at towns who have said, this isn't good enough and we're making these a little stricter and just comparing them.
Yeah.
And then come up, and I haven't got far enough to give a report or anything yet, but that's what I want to keep working on personally because I think it's really important.
Yeah. I just saw that in the town that I used to live in, we had 9 ponds, and the code enforcement person just wasn't keeping up with what people were doing. And like, so that was leading to problems in my view.
Well, and part of the thing comes because a lot of places that were built on lakes and things initially were little summer
Yeah, I'm talking
cabins,
about
and now they're
mostly
becoming year-round properties.
Right, that's what I'm
And
talking
that's a
about.
whole different situation. It was not the original idea.
Right.
And, so it's a little bit it's complicated, but I'm like just to keep working on that and come up with some suggestions I can bring up to another meeting.
That's great.
So, and I've got a couple of little zoning things I'm working on too, but I'll wait till I get them further down.
And then I'll see if I can dig up some stuff. I haven't done that and I should have.
I looked up your town.
Yeah, but that's all right. I mean,
Yeah.
it's either I have it or I don't. It's not going to take more than 15 minutes to
So-
figure it out.
What I'm doing is like just coming up with what we have compared to what other people have, which I think could be better and more protective of our land,
So-
lakes and streams and waterfront.
I had a place on a lake in Western Maine, and the lake had a lake association, which probably most lakes do.
Yeah.
And the lake association would go around and they'd see what was going on, right? So the lake association, they didn't have any authority to do anything, but they were ears and eyes, and they would report things if there was a problem. And they were like a policing organization, right?
Mhm.
And it was amazing how they kept things in check. And if they saw something going on, they'd call the code enforcement officer. So the code enforcement officer was hopeless. They couldn't go around all these places, but the
We have
Lake
a boat now, right?
Association was
What lake
really,
was that?
it was out Howard Pond in
No,
Hanover.
we have a
Maine.
boat that can go, that goes up like. it's a
Very
little police-
small,
it's
but
more of
it
a police
was-
boat, right?
One of these
And like people.
sacred
speeding,
little,
but-
wonderful little
Kind of.
ponds that the people who lived on the pond
We can go out in it.
were really, they were very vigilant about what went on. I didn't even have a view of the pond, and I was 250 feet back because I couldn't cut anything down.
Right.
Right? And if I cut a tree, guess what? Everybody would know it. So anyway, the only point I'm trying to make is it's more than just the code enforcement officer's responsibility. If
Yeah, and the way our system works, it isn't based on us going out looking for problems.
Yeah.
It's a complaint-based system, so
Good
if there's
point.
no, if there's no complaint, there's no problem.
yeah, right.
So you could be the complaint.
Yep.
In theory.
Yeah, I withheld myself about Headstrom who cleared, and Jeremy tried to stop that from happening. Indeed, he did. And he hasn't buffered. There is no way to make people buffer after they've cleared and then they're finished with what they're doing. They need to replant a buffer, and apparently that would be an ordinance thing that we could
Right,
do.
that's what I'm talking about, things like that.
Yeah, and then, as you say, it's complaint-based. And because he was doing a good job with his selectmen, I didn't want to say anything.
So is the point to report these things that may be wrong or to update things? Because I thought lake and waterfront properties are pretty well regulated now.
It is when you're getting to the point of asking for a permit to do something,
Yeah,
but just the random everyday occurrences, like let's say people own property on the lake and they decide that they want to cut trees down, or they want to put in a drain in there. Those are all things they don't need to get a permit for in theory. I mean, they probably should, but they probably You know, you got shoreline zoning ordinances and stuff, but who's watching that?
Right,
Yeah, but the
Or making-
ordinances are there, aren't they?
they're there,
That's a
but
there is-
complaint-based, that's a complaint-based system, so there isn't anybody policing it.
There isn't
So-
anything in the ordinances, I am told, and I don't read ordinances, that tells them they have to put it back. even though- I don't
That's
think-
that's an even different issue.
We used to have a place on Pitcher Pond, which was like this far away. It was grandfathered in, and I knew if I wanted to expand that little place, I could only do it a certain percentage, and
Certain
if
direction.
I needed a
Right,
new
right.
septic system, you
Right,
had
so
to be
let's say
highly.
you have that, and you say, the heck with it, and you do it.
Oh,
And then she lives next to you, and she
Yeah.
calls the code enforcement, says, hey, this guy isn't
Okay.
following the shoreline zoning ordinance.
So it sounds to me like the ordinances are there, we're just, they aren't reported.
They're not.
So how are we gonna solve
Well, that was
that?
what Brian was saying. Brian was saying, I mean, we're
Have
not
a
saying we're
patrol
gonna go
boat.
around and tattletale on people, but
No,
what you're doing is there
Well-
needs to be some eyes about, well, kind of, I guess, right? There needs to
Maybe-
be some eyes on some of these things that you're concerned with, if you want them.
Well, what we could do is just make a simple to understand synopsis of what the rules are for property owners, like make sure that that's
Yeah, that would take care of some of it. You know what I mean? Like, some people don't know.
right.
Sounds
Some
like a
people
thing
don't
that
know.
lake associations
And they
are
need,
taking
they
care
need to
of.
know that somebody cares about
But-
what they're gonna do.
you talked to Jeremy, right?
Mhm.
And he had some concerns, right?
Mhm.
And can you tell us a little bit about?
I'd rather wait till I get more information.
Okay, yeah,
And he said something about committee coming to, maybe next month's meeting.
okay.
And it's good to listen to we should have Jeremy in at a meeting sometime.
He said, put me on the
Yeah.
agenda for next month.
Right, so that,
Ah,
Good.
because
lovely.
he can give his
Excellent.
perspective of
So
it. It doesn't always mean,
Thanks, Sam.
You're welcome.
it's what we want to do, but it's good to hear his perspective and the challenges of some of the things that he has to
Yeah,
do.
for sure.
All right, anything else? You
Just
good?
back on this, there's perpetual grandfathering, and I'd like to question that someday for, somebody who has a lawn right down to the water, and it's been there for 75 years.
Well, it's
Yeah.
not in Camden, but that little cabin that
Well-
hangs out over McGonagall, now there are two.
Yeah.
And how the heck did that ever end up being legal? You know what I mean, of course. It's just over the town line.
That's Brian's place.
Yeah, I got a porch over the water. I'm only kidding. Kidding me? Oh my God. They're strict. I gotta remember what we went through.
What pond were you on?
Howard Pond in
Howard Pond?
in Hanover. Yep, little pond, 111 acres. Okay, so we good so far? We
Yeah,
good?
I think we're good.
Good job.
The next thing, we had the NERPA. You want to just fill us in on
Oh,
that?
yeah, so all NERPA applications, Jeremy approved this. It's been a little quiet the last month or two, as they usually are at this time of year, but they should be starting to pick up. So when they come in, the Secretary Madeline will forward them to Brian and I.
Oh,
to
so you guys
start-
are gonna look the NERPA permits over?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's happening.
Permits,
What are they?
Nash,
NERPA, is that?
National Research Protection Act?
yeah. Nash-
So
Resource
you mean just like
protection.
on an ongoing basis?
That's happening for that one.
Yeah, and if they're relevant, if we get an application and it says, we don't really have any, interest in this, we don't have to look it over. It's just if it's relevant, right?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So I'm guessing that's part of why Jeremy's coming next month.
Part of that, part of what I was talking about.
Okay, so for the NERPA applications, like, will we receive training as a commission
Well, largely,
or
that's one of
instruction?
Rebecca's specialties. So she was basically going to help look them over.
Okay.
And then, but if she doesn't stay on the committee, we'll have to kind of up our game a little bit.
And you know what, also, is you might want to talk to Allison, because she has contacts with all of that NERPA stuff, and she might have someone from the state also,
That's a good idea. Yeah.
that can, like, here's what we need to look at, here's the thing.
It was a really good discussion, actually. I think it's recorded. The planning board had with, when we were doing the peer thing. And I think I just happened to trip on top of it. So, I mean, I happened to come across it. I think it was on the town website. And you could go back and watch that, even though it was largely talking about the environment along the coast. And that's where a lot of the NERPA things come in. And, how eelgrass, how it grows, how it can be damaged and things like that. So that's where I got most of the information I had. I thought it was a fascinating. They had 2 different speakers and it was really good. I'll send you a link. But that's just the beginning, so you start to get an idea of what we're talking about. So,
That's great, because we had just talked about that last meeting. Now it's happening.
That's pretty good.
Since the last meeting, we got the press release done. We got the letter to the select board done. We got that NERPA thing done.
well, the one other thing is if we can depending on how long this takes up, but in the minutes of last month, I sent you this low impact development thing, and it's many pages, but the key part of that, which I don't know if we have time to do both, but was looking at was about impervious surfaces. So when people are building a new home or renovating a home or something, it's to help limit how much impervious, like basically driveways and things like that they have on the land. And that guide is an idea of how you can, it's for towns to help them to change their codes so that things are better for the environment. And especially around here where people if you put a huge driveway in on your hill where there was grass, like 4-car garage and all these dry windows, driving around room, all of a sudden the water is just pouring down. So we have a big storm, that's just more adding to the problem. But on the other hand, if you limited how much you had, and then on the sides of the driveways, you had like a rain garden and plants and things like that, it wouldn't be hard, but that was the part of that document. So if you ever some time and you can just look over that, look at some of the diagrams and just Google the word impervious surfaces and just go to the places about that. That's the part that I was thinking that we could get involved in to help the town when they're trying to change the code to change the building codes.
So where can we see
I
this?
sent that with the minutes. It was called LID and it's called low impact development.
Yes, I saw that
And
actually.
like I said, a lot of it's about roofs and
Oh,
stuff
yeah,
like
yeah,
that,
yeah. No,
which isn't really our purview, but the parts about basically driveways and things like that in impervious surface. So it would be hard because it kind of lays it out right there. What would be the recommendations? So, but I'm going to start with it.
What?
You made a good point about what you've done so far.
Yes.
We probably should capture that.
What do you mean?
We should have a tally list of the things that you guys have done.
Like our,
I was just thinking that.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
he said something that's really important, like we got this done, get this done.
Yeah.
And because then we can have that on the website and say, these are some of the things that we've been.
yeah, we've got the town report coming up that Janice wanted
I
some,
know I haven't.
but that's a ways off. So
I
we
know.
don't have to.
I just couldn't.
But I mean, but that's the kind of stuff we can put in
that's
there.
where you got it, yeah.
Yeah, good.
You guys have done a lot of stuff, and you don't really start realizing it until you write it down. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny how that works.
Oh, yeah, because the more productive you are, the less time you have to be keeping track of everything. you
Right.
do.
So when we have our next meeting on the
Which is
March 8th,
Nope, it's March.
2nd, whatever it is.
I had it
Sorry.
right here. Sorry. It was
One of
March
those days.
5th. Yes, March 5th. Ash
Yeah,
Wednesday.
Can we just
Oh.
all agree that we'll just come back and give a real quick update on where we are with our area of interest? Is that okay?
Oh, one other thing. There's this woman who's out of South Thomaston who started this
Oh,
Knox County
Sandra.
Conservation Group or something, working group. She wrote to us with demanding all this information. Like, who are you? We didn't even know what it was. So I did finally talk to her. And
Oh, you
apparently I did. And apparently Rebecca's been going to these meetings, but we just didn't know much about it. And
Talked a little bit about this a while
she
back.
talked about it
yeah.
early on, but then we never heard anything else,
Right.
really. Something about the Stark Sky thing. And there was a program at the library. I didn't even know it. I would have gone to it, but that some other towns put on here. And so she has a Zoom meeting that's about 90 minutes, 4 times a year, that people just report on what they're doing. And
What's it called?
Knox
Not
County
County
Conservation Commission Working
Commission
Group.
Working group or something, really long.
I can forward you the,
But it'd be nice if there's someone who wanted to commit to going, or we could alternate every once in a while or something. I just didn't want another thing on my plate because I got a lot happening, but, anyway,
Yeah.
just saying it's there.
She's dark sky? She's related to dark skies?
Dark Sky was put on, I think, by mostly
I think that was-
Owl's Heads
Yeah,
push.
okay.
But it's kind of just sharing what you're working on and how to be resourced. Like the way she described it is like, well then, so I'm going to be helping these people do this, and they gave this idea that we should do. I don't have room for a lot more collaboration, to be honest with you. But if anybody's interested, and wants them as a resource, any of us could go to this meeting. But so,
Okay.
Is there a scheduled meeting coming up?
there's no date, but there's one in March. She said. So I'll let you know if anyone can go.
I'm going to make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Thank you. Seconded.
Seconded.
All in favor? Do we have to vote? Is that how it
No.
works? No. Okay.
You just leave.
Yeah.
Did anyone
Meeting adjourned.
Dave, I just want to talk to you for one